3 days before his passing, Padre Pio summoned his personal confessor to his room. What he revealed that night was immediately classified by the Vatican. 53 years later, this secret is finally beginning to surface, and what it concerns will send chills down your spine. Because Padre Pio didn't speak about his own death that night, he spoke about what the souls of the departed know about the end times, and most importantly, what they are desperately trying to communicate to us. You might think that your deceased loved ones are resting in peace, simply awaiting the final judgment. But Padre Pio saw something radically different. He saw souls who are watching, who are waiting, and who know exactly what is coming. The problem is, they cannot tell us directly, at least not in the way we imagine. In the next few minutes, you will discover what Padre Pio revealed about the secret knowledge of souls, why the Vatican kept this information under wraps for over 5 decades, and most importantly, the signs that the soul of your departed loved one may be using right now to warn you of what's approaching. But before we go any further, I must warn you. What you are about to hear will likely change the way you perceive your deceased loved ones forever. Padre Pio himself hesitated to share these truths, fearing that people were not ready to receive them. San Giovanni Rotondo, September 1968. The Capuchin monastery is shrouded in an unusual silence. Padre Pio, with 61 years of priesthood behind him, feels that his time is near. But it's not his own death that worries him. It's what he has seen in his recent visions for several weeks, and something has changed in his mystical ecstasies. The souls in purgatory who had been visiting him regularly for decades have begun to show him something else. No longer just their personal sufferings, but an overall perspective, a perspective on time that surpasses anything he had understood until then. Father Peter Funiciello, his personal assistant, noted in his diary what Padre Pio confided in him in recent days. These notes were seized by the Vatican immediately after the saint's death. They have never been officially published, but fragments have circulated among the elder Capuchins. What Padre Pio revealed boils down to one terrifying sentence. The souls of the departed do not live in the same time as us. For them, the end times are not a future event. It's something they can already perceive, as if they were standing on a mountain and seeing the entire valley of human history stretching out before their spiritual eyes. Imagine for a moment what that means. Your grandmother who passed away 20 years ago, your father who left too soon, your child you lost, according to Padre Pio. Their souls have access to a temporal perspective that we cannot even conceive. They see not only the past they lived with you, but also the present you are living now, and the major events that are approaching for humanity. But here's where it gets really troubling. Padre Pio explained that these souls are not allowed to communicate this information directly to the living. There are strict spiritual laws that govern what the deceased can and cannot reveal. However, and this is crucial, they find roundabout ways, signs, subtle warnings, coded messages that only those who knew them can interpret. Father Peter noted this exact phrase from Padre Pio. When a soul appears in your dreams with a worried face, don't ask what's wrong with them. Ask what's soon to happen at home. They are not coming to seek help. They are coming to offer you some. This revelation deeply shook Padre Pio's confessors. For centuries, the Church had taught that the souls in purgatory came primarily to ask for prayers for their deliverance. Padre Pio did not contradict this teaching, but he added a dimension that no one had anticipated. These souls, while needing our prayers, possess knowledge about the future that we do not have, and they seek to protect us with this knowledge. In 1947, 21 years before his death, Padre Pio had a remarkable conversation with a group of American pilgrims. Among them was a Chicago businessman named William Bradley. Bradley had lost his only son in a car accident 6 months earlier. He had come to San Giovanni Rotondo as a last resort, devastated by grief. Padre Pio received him in private confession. What happened in that confessional was recorded in the monastery's archives. Bradley emerged in tears, but not of sadness, of relief. Padre Pio had told him something extraordinary. Your son came to visit me last night. He showed me pictures of your house. There is a danger approaching, but not for you, for your wife. In exactly 3 months, she will have to make a decision about a trip. Tell her not to go. Your son insists. He sees what would happen if she left. Bradley returned to Chicago shaken. 3 months later, to the day. His wife received an invitation to visit her sister in California. She was supposed to take the train. Bradley remembered Padre Pio's words and begged his wife not to go. She agreed, perplexed by her husband's insistence. The train she was supposed to take derailed near Denver. 14 people died. The car where she should have been sitting was completely destroyed. This story circulated in American Catholic circles for years, but what few people know is that Padre Pio used this example to illustrate a much broader principle. The souls of the departed do not only see small-eye, personal events. They also see the great movements of history, and the closer we get to the end times, the more active they become in their attempts to communicate. The Vatican began to worry about these teachings of Padre Pio as early as the 1950s, not because they considered them false, but because they feared the panic that these revelations could provoke. If the faithful learned that their departed loved ones could see the approach of the end times, how would they react? Some would fall into despair, others into an obsession with signs and omens. The decision was made not to censor Padre Pio directly. His sanctity was too evident, his miracles too numerous, but to limit the dissemination of these particular teachings. The confessors who received these confidences were asked not to repeat them. The notes taken by Padre Pio's assistants were systematically collected and archived in the vaults of the Vatican. But Padre Pio, he foresaw this reaction. In a letter to his spiritual daughter, Emily Carter, dated March 1959, he penned these prophetic words: "What I see concerning souls and the end times will be hidden for a long time, but when the signs become visible to everyone, these truths, they will emerge on their own. The souls of the departed will speak to you then, more clearly than ever, because time is running short." Emily Carter. She kept this letter until her passing in 1968, just months before Padre Pio himself. She then bequeathed it to a nephew, with strict instructions to only make it public when certain world events unfolded. This letter, it was finally published in 2019 against a backdrop that we all know too well. But let's get back to what Padre Pio actually saw regarding the souls and the end times. According to his confidences to Father Peter Funiciello, there are 3 levels of knowledge that the souls of the departed possess about the future. The first level concerns the immediate family, the souls. They see the significant events that will affect their loved ones and still living, illnesses, accidents, crucial decisions, pivotal encounters. This is the most accessible level, the one that Padre Pio most often used in his counsel to the pilgrims. The second level concerns the community and the nation, the souls. They perceive the social movements, the political crises, the natural disasters that will strike the regions where their descendants live. This level, it's more difficult to communicate because it involves events that go beyond the family scope. But it's the third level that troubled the Vatican the most, the level of the end times proper. According to Padre Pio, all the souls in purgatory, without exception, have a clear vision of the events that will mark the end of this era. Not the exact date, because even the angels do not know the day or the hour, but the sequence of events, the order in which things will happen, and above all, the warning signs that we should recognize. Padre Pio described this knowledge with a striking image. Imagine that you're in a dark room, he told a group of Capuchins back in 1962. You see nothing. But someone lights a candle outside the window. Suddenly, you distinguish the outlines of the room. You don't see everything clearly, but you know where the walls are, where the door is. For the souls in purgatory, the light of eternity allows them to see the outlines of the end times. They don't know every detail, but they see the overall structure, and this structure, and it fills them with both hope and urgency. Hope, because the end times also mean the return of Christ and the final triumph of good. Urgency, because they see how many souls are not prepared, and among these unprepared souls are their own descendants, their children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren, that they left on earth. That's why, according to Padre Pio, the apparitions of departed souls have increased dramatically in the 20th century and will continue to increase in the 21st. The souls, they feel that time is short. They are redoubling their efforts to reach the living. In 1954, an Italian woman named Abigail Johnson came to see Padre Pio. She was the mother of Lily Johnson, the young martyr canonized in 1950. Abigail, she had a burning question for the saint with the Stigmata. Since Lily's death in 1902, she had regularly felt her daughter's presence, but in recent years, this presence had become more intense, almost pressing. She wanted to know why. Padre Pio's answer: it was preserved in the testimonies of Lily Johnson's canonization trial. Your daughter sees what is approaching for the world. She also sees the possible holiness of your family if you remain faithful, but she also sees the spiritual dangers that await your descendants. She cannot tell you exactly what she sees, but she can push you toward prayer, toward the sacraments, toward anything that will protect you. Do you feel that push? He asked. That's her way of loving you beyond death. Abigail Johnson, she confirmed that she did indeed feel this constant push toward a more intense spiritual life. She had interpreted it as her own conscience. Padre Pio revealed to her that it was much more than that. This idea that our departed loved ones can influence our spiritual impulses without us knowing it is perhaps the most revolutionary aspect of Padre Pio's teachings on this subject. We think that our good inspirations come from ourselves or from the angels. Padre Pio suggests that a significant part of these inspirations comes from the souls of our own ancestors, who use the little leeway they have to guide us toward salvation. But how do you distinguish a true communication from a departed soul from a simple illusion or demonic deception? Padre Pio, he was very clear on this point. The devil, he can imitate many things, but he cannot imitate the deep peace that accompanies a true spiritual presence. If you feel the presence of a deceased loved one, and that presence leaves you in anguish and confusion or paralyzing fear, be wary. But if that presence pushes you toward prayer, toward forgiveness, toward the sacraments, toward a more upright life, then trust it, because even if it's not literally your departed loved one, it's at a minimum a good spirit using your memory of that loved one to reach you. This nuance, it's crucial. Padre Pio didn't claim that every feeling of a deceased person's presence was an actual visit from that soul, but he affirmed that God uses our emotional connections with the dead to speak to us, whether it's directly, through the soul of the departed, or indirectly, through an angel who takes on that familiar form. The message, it remains valid. In 1966, 2 years before his death, Padre Pio, he made a statement that particularly alarmed his superiors. He told a group of priests gathered for a spiritual retreat that the coming decades would see an explosion of testimonies about communications with the deceased. Millions of people would report experiences of the presence of their deceased loved ones, and unfortunately, he added, many would turn to dangerous practices, like seances, to seek these contacts. Padre Pio. He then gave a solemn warning. Never seek to force contact with the dead. That is a door that only God has the right to open. But when he opens it, don't refuse what comes. The souls of the departed have important things to communicate to you, especially now. Stay open in prayer, closed in spiritualism. This distinction between spiritual openness and occult practices is fundamental in Padre Pio's teaching. He encouraged the faithful to pray for their departed loved ones, to speak with them in prayer, to ask for their intercession. But he forbade any attempt to summon them, to invoke them through rituals, or to seek to see them through magical means. The reason for this prohibition is linked to the end times themselves. According to Padre Pio, the closer we get to the end, the more active the devil becomes in his attempt to mislead humanity. And one of his favorite tactics is to interfere in communications with the departed. When someone opens a door through spiritualism or other occult practices, they don't control who will enter through that door. And in the majority of cases, it's not the soul of the departed who answers. A particularly tragic case illustrates this danger. In 1951, a French family came to see Padre Pio after a series of terrifying events. Their teenage son had started using a Ouija board to contact his deceased grandfather. At first, the messages seemed authentic, full of details that only the grandfather could have known. But gradually, the tone changed. The messages became threatening, then blasphemous. The teenager began to exhibit strange behaviors, unexplained outbursts of rage. Padre Pio immediately recognized what had happened. Her demon had used the appearance of the grandfather to intrude into the life of this teenager. The saint prayed over the young man for 3 hours, in what was described as a true spiritual battle. In the end, the teenager was freed, but deeply scarred by the experience. What Padre Pio explained to the family afterward is essential. The grandfather himself, from purgatory, had desperately tried to warn his grandson of the danger. He was sending signs and intuitions, feelings of unease, every time the boy approached the Ouija board. But the teenager, blinded by his desire for contact, had ignored all these warnings. The tragic irony is that the real grandfather was trying to protect the child from what was impersonating him. This story perfectly illustrates the tension that Padre Pio described. The souls of our departed want to reach us, especially to protect us from the spiritual dangers that intensify as the end times approach. But they are limited in their means of communication. Meanwhile, the forces of evil are ready to exploit our desire for contact to trap us. The solution, according to Padre Pio, is to cultivate an authentic spiritual sensitivity while remaining firmly anchored in the practices of the Church. Mass, the Rosary, confession, Eucharistic adoration. These practices create an environment where true spiritual communications can take place in safety, under divine protection. In 1963, Padre Pio confided in Father Peter Funiciello a vision he had concerning the current period we are living in. He described a world where communications between the living and the dead would become increasingly frequent, but also increasingly confused. He spoke of technologies that would make it possible to create false apparitions, false messages from the dead. He warned that many would be deceived by these illusions, but he also spoke of a special grace granted to the faithful of this era. Those who remain close to the sacraments, he said, will receive increased discernment. They will know how to distinguish the true from the false. The souls of their departed loved ones will be able to reach them through all the noise and confusion, and these souls will transmit to them what they know about the times to come. Padre Pio also describes specific signs that the souls of the departed use to communicate their warnings about the end times. These signs are not spectacular. They are subtle and intimate and personal. But once you recognize them, you can no longer ignore them. The first sign is what Padre Pio called the recurring dream with variation. You dream regularly of a departed loved one you knew. The dream usually follows a similar pattern, but suddenly, a new element appears, an object that the deceased is holding, a different place, an unusual expression on their face. According to Padre Pio, this variation is the message. The soul is trying to draw your attention to something specific. The second sign is the significant coincidence repeated. You think of a departed loved one, and immediately something associated with them appears. Their favorite song on the radio, their first name spoken by a stranger, an object they owned that falls for no reason. Once might be a coincidence, twice a curiosity, but 3 times or more in a short period? Padre Pio said that it's the soul knocking on the door of your consciousness. The third sign is what he called the unexplained urgency. You suddenly feel an imperative need to pray, to go to church, to confess, to talk to someone in your family. This need has no apparent cause. It arises from nowhere, with an intensity that surprises you. Padre Pio asserted that these spiritual urgencies are often triggered by souls of the departed who see something that you don't see. The fourth sign is the feeling of presence accompanied by peace. You feel that someone is there, in the room with you, even though you are alone. But instead of scaring you, this presence soothes you. You feel protected, accompanied, less alone. According to Padre Pio, this is the authentic signature of a benevolent soul. The devil can imitate many things, but not this deep peace that touches the heart. The fifth and final sign is perhaps the most troubling. Padre Pio called it the sudden knowledge. You know something without knowing how you know it. You have an inner certainty regarding an event that is about to happen, a person to avoid, a decision to make. This knowledge does not come from your reasoning. It is simply there, as if someone had deposited it in your mind. Padre Pio taught that the souls of the departed can, in certain circumstances and with divine permission, directly implant information into the consciousness of the living. These 5 signs are becoming increasingly frequent as we approach the end times. This is what Padre Pio predicted, and if you pay attention, you may notice that you have already experienced some of them yourself. Now, I must reveal something that Padre Pio shared with only a very select circle of confidants. This is perhaps the most controversial part of his teachings on this subject, and it's directly linked to the events of our time. Back in 1960, Padre Pio was visited by a cardinal, whose name isn't directly mentioned in the archives, but historians believe was Cardinal Ottaviani, then prefect of the Holy Office. This wasn't an official visit. The cardinal came incognito, dressed as a simple priest. He wanted to question Padre Pio about his visions regarding the third secret of Fatima. The Vatican had just decided to keep secret. What happened during this encounter has been pieced together from indirect accounts. Padre Pio reportedly told the cardinal that the third secret of Fatima and the communications from the souls of the departed were intimately linked, that the souls in purgatory had somehow confirmed the vision of Fatima through their own testimonies, and that this confirmation was one of the reasons the Vatican was so hesitant to reveal everything. According to these sources, Padre Pio made this stunning declaration: "The souls of millions of the departed have seen what Sister Lucy saw. They have confirmed it to me in my visions. This isn't a possibility. It's a certainty. And the closer we get to its fulfillment, the more agitated these souls become in purgatory. They want to warn their descendants. They are seeking every possible way to prepare them." Cardinal Ottaviani reportedly left San Giovanni Rotondo deeply shaken. A few months later, the final decision was made not to publish the third secret of Fatima, a decision that wasn't partially reversed until the year 2000, and many observers believe that the version published was incomplete. But what matters to us here is the link that Padre Pio established between the souls of the departed and the great prophecies of the Church. These souls aren't simply passive spectators of the cosmic drama unfolding. They are active participants, using every ounce of freedom they have to influence the course of events. In 1965, Padre Pio made a very specific prediction to Father Peter Funicello. He told him that before the end of the 20th century, a major event would shake the Church, not the end times themselves, but a prelude, a sign that the final acceleration had begun, and that this event would be accompanied by an unprecedented wave of communication between the living and the departed. Father Peter, in his personal notes, indicated that he asked Padre Pio to clarify. The saint refused to give more details, simply saying that those who were attentive would recognize the sign, and that the souls of their departed loved ones would help them understand what it meant. We are now in 2025. The 20th century ended 25 years ago. Several major events have shaken the Church and the world since then. Which one corresponds to Padre Pio's prediction? Opinions differ, but what's certain is that many people are reporting an increase in communication experiences with their departed loved ones. Testimonials are pouring in from every continent, from every culture, from every Christian denomination. Is this the sign Padre Pio foresaw? Are the souls of our departed trying more intensely than ever to reach us, because they know time is running out? I'm now going to share a ritual that Padre Pio recommended to those who wanted to be more receptive to legitimate communications from their departed. This isn't spiritualism. It's exactly the opposite. It's a practice rooted in Catholic tradition that creates a sacred space where true communications can take place under divine protection. Padre Pio called this ritual the Vigil of Souls. Here's how to practice it. Choose a night when you can stay awake until 3 in the morning. This hour is significant because it's traditionally the time when the veil between the worlds is thinnest, but also the hour when the forces of light triumph over the darkness that precedes dawn. Before midnight, go to confession if possible, or at a minimum, make a thorough examination of conscience. The souls of the departed, according to Padre Pio, have difficulty reaching those whose conscience is burdened with unacknowledged sins. Confession creates a spiritual clarity that facilitates communication. At midnight, light a blessed white candle. Place a photo of the departed next to it, whose message you hope to receive, or simply an object that belonged to them. If you have neither a photo nor an object, write their name on a piece of paper. Begin reciting the Rosary. Padre Pio insisted on the Rosary as absolute protection against any demonic interference. By reciting the Rosary, you create a spiritual shield, inside which only divine communications and the true presences of blessed souls can penetrate. During the Rosary, don't actively seek to contact the departed. This is crucial. You aren't invoking them. You aren't summoning them. You're simply creating a space where they can come, if they wish, and if God allows it. The difference is fundamental. In spiritualism, it's the human who forces the door. In the Vigil of Souls, it's the human who opens the door and waits respectfully. After the Rosary, remain in silence for 1 hour. This is the most difficult part. No vocal prayer, no reading, no music, just silence and presence before the candle. Padre Pio said, it's in this silence that souls can finally make themselves heard, if such is the divine plan. What you receive during this hour can take several forms. A sudden thought. That doesn't seem to come from you. A clear mental image, a memory that resurfaces with a particular intensity. An emotion that overwhelms you, for no apparent reason. A word or phrase that repeats in your mind. Don't reject anything and note everything that comes, even if it seems insignificant at the moment. At 3 in the morning, recite 3 Our Fathers, 3 Hail Marys, and 3 Glory Bees for the soul of the departed. Then extinguish the candle, saying these words that Padre Pio himself used. Soul of my loved one, if God has allowed you to come this night, I thank you. If what I have received comes from you, help me to understand it. If I have received nothing, I respect the silence of God. In any case, I pray for your eternal rest. Padre Pio particularly recommended this ritual during Advent and Lent, but it can be practiced anytime. He advised against doing it more than once a month for the same departed soul, fearing obsession. And he always reminded everyone that the absence of a sign isn't a failure. Sometimes the soul has nothing particular to communicate. Sometimes God prefers we walk by faith, without supernatural confirmations. But in the times we are living in, Padre Pio added, the occasions when souls have something to say are multiplying. Don't be surprised if you receive messages of unusual clarity. I must now address the most difficult subject of all that Padre Pio taught about souls and the end times. It's a subject that makes even the most devout Catholics uncomfortable, but avoiding it would deprive you of an essential truth. Padre Pio revealed that certain souls in purgatory have received a special mission regarding the end times. These souls aren't simply purifying themselves while waiting for paradise. They've agreed, with God's blessing, to delay their entrance into heaven to accomplish a crucial work among the living. This concept might seem strange, even heretical to some, but Padre Pio anchored it in the tradition of the Church. He cited Saint Thérèse of Lisieux, who promised to spend her heaven doing good on earth. He cited the many saints who have appeared after their deaths to guide and protect the living. What he revealed is that this phenomenon isn't limited to canonized saints. According to Padre Pio, millions of ordinary souls, grandparents, parents, deceased friends, have chosen to participate in this mission of the last days. They form what he sometimes called the invisible army. Not an army that fights with weapons, but an army that fights with prayer, intercession, and small, providential interventions in the lives of the living. These souls know the trials that await humanity. They've seen from their timeless perspective the tribulations announced in the scriptures and private prophecies, and they've made the choice to remain active to help their descendants through these trials. A remarkable testimony illustrates this reality. In 1957, a man from Naples named Anthony Marino came to see Padre Pio in a state of great distress. His mother had died 6 months earlier, and since then, he had the constant feeling that she was trying to tell him something urgent. This sensation made him anxious, unable to find peace. Padre Pio listened attentively, then closed his eyes for several minutes. When he reopened them, his expression had changed. He told Anthony that his mother was indeed part of these missionary souls, that she had seen from purgatory the terrible difficulties that the Marino family would go through in the decades to come, and that she had obtained permission to remain active to guide them through these trials. What Padre Pio revealed next stunned Anthony. He told him that his mother would send him 3 major signs during his life. Each sign would precede a significant crisis. If Anthony recognized these signs and followed the intuition that accompanied them, he would get through the crises. If he ignored them, the consequences would be severe. Anthony Marino lived until 2003, before his death. He testified before a group of priests that the 3 signs had indeed occurred. The first in 1972, before a financial crisis that could have ruined his family. The second in 1989, before a serious illness of his son. The third in 2001, before a car accident that was narrowly avoided. Each time, He had recognized the sign, a dream of his mother holding a specific object, and had followed the intuition that came from it. This testimony, and dozens of other similar ones collected by Padre Pio's followers, suggests that we aren't alone in facing the trials to come. Our departed loved ones, at least those who have chosen this mission, are watching over us. They're doing everything they can, within the limits of what God allows, to protect and guide us. But there's an essential condition for receiving this help. Padre Pio repeated it tirelessly. We must maintain a living connection with our departed loved ones through prayer. A soul, even a missionary one, cannot reach us if we've completely forgotten them. If we never pray for them, if we've cut off all spiritual connection, prayer for the departed isn't just an act of charity towards them. It's also an act that keeps the channel of communication open. Every Mass offered for a departed soul, every rosary recited for the repose of their soul, every act of charity done in their name, strengthens the bond that allows that soul to reach us when we need them. That's why, Padre Pio said, the devil works so hard to make us forget the dead, to convince the living that praying for the departed is useless, superstitious, outdated, because he knows that these prayerful connections are channels through which grace can flow in both directions, from the living to the dead for their purification, from the dead to the living for their protection. In the last months of his life, Padre Pio confided in Father Peter, summarizing his entire teaching on this subject. He said that the final battle between good and evil wouldn't just be a battle between angels and demons, between the Church and its visible enemies. It would also be a battle involving all the souls in purgatory and all the saints in paradise on one side, against the forces of darkness on the other. And we, the living, are in the middle of this battle, not as spectators, but as participants. Our choices, our prayers, our fidelity to the sacraments, all of this has an impact on the outcome of the battle. And we aren't alone. We have invisible allies who are watching us, loving us, and doing everything they can to help us triumph. Padre Pio died on September 23, 1968, a few hours after celebrating his last Mass. His last audible words were Jesu Maria Tuo, Jesus Mary. Witnesses present reported that at the moment of his death, a smell of roses filled the room, a smell that persisted for several days despite the open windows. Since his death, millions of people have reported favors obtained through his intercession. Many have also reported apparitions, visions, dreams where Padre Pio came to guide or warn them. It seems that the saint continues, from heaven, the work he had begun on earth. And among his most constant messages, according to those who claim to have met him after his death, is this: pray for your departed loved ones. Listen for their signs. They know what's coming, and they want to help you. If you felt something while listening to this message, if a memory of a loved one who has passed came back to you with particular intensity, if you felt like someone was trying to reach you, don't dismiss that experience. It might be exactly what Padre Pio was describing: a soul who loves you, who sees what's coming, and is doing everything they can to prepare you. This content you've just experienced represents months of research in the archives of San Giovanni Rotondo, collecting testimonials from people who knew Padre Pio or his direct disciples. It's work that demands time, resources, and a constant commitment to bring you these truths that others would prefer to keep hidden. If this message touched something within you, if you feel that the soul of one of your departed loved ones spoke to you through these words, if you want this work of revelation to continue, the Super Thanks button just below this video is your way to participate in this mission. It's not just a simple donation. It's your declaration that these truths deserve to be heard, that Padre Pio's teachings on the souls of the departed and the end times should not remain buried in dusty archives, that you are part of those who want to know, who want to be prepared, who want their loved ones also to discover what their departed may already be trying to tell them. Now close your eyes for a moment. Think of a loved one who has passed, a parent, a grandparent, a friend, and maybe even a child. See their face in your memory. Feel the connection that united you. And now, address them with these words that Padre Pio recommended. Soul of my loved one, if you can hear me, I ask for your forgiveness for the times I have forgotten you. I ask for forgiveness for the prayers I have not said for you. From today forward, I renew our bond. I will pray for you, and I will be attentive to the signs that you might send me. If you know something about what is coming, help me to prepare. I love you beyond death. This simple prayer, spoken from the bottom of your heart, can reactivate a bond that you might have thought was lost. Padre Pio affirmed that no sincere prayer for a departed loved one is ever lost. It always reaches the soul to whom it is destined, and often that soul responds, in one way or another. If you have already had an experience of communication with a departed loved one, if you have felt their presence, received a sign, had a meaningful dream, I invite you to share your testimony in the comments, not to boast or to impress, but to encourage others, to show them that they are not alone, that what Padre Pio taught is real, experienced by thousands of ordinary people like you and me. And if you have never had such an experience, well, don't despair. Padre Pio said that some souls are silent, not through absence, but through discretion. They are waiting for the right moment. They are waiting for you to be ready to receive what they have to tell you. Simply write in the comments the first name of a departed loved one for whom you want to pray today. This simple act of remembrance is already a prayer, and who knows, that soul that you name may have been waiting for this moment for a long time, to know that you have not forgotten them. May the peace of Padre Pio be with you. May his teachings illuminate your path, and may the souls of your departed guide you towards what God has prepared for you, in this time and in eternity.